So much, Steve. That was terrific. And now, just to give you a little taste of the 2015 International CES, a record-setting show, we have a quick highlight video. Wow. The 2015 CES was truly amazing for us. It broke records across the board. We had more than 200,000 square meters of exhibit space, more than 3,600 exhibitors, more than 170,000 business people from around the world attending, including 45,000 people from outside the United States. Over 150 countries were represented. Because CES has been designed as a strategy for gathering the people, the business leaders who are focused on innovation from around the world. We have more than 7,000 presidents, CEOs, and business owners there. And they represent all aspects of the technology ecosystem. And we believe that more technology business deals are made during CES than anywhere else in the world. It's a very global or international focused event. It took place across 3 venues. We tried to simplify this. There's 3 huge areas of the show. We had Tech East at the Las Vegas Convention and World Trade Center and some adjoining hotels. And there's a World Trade Center right there at Las Vegas which provides all sorts of services. There was Tech West at the Sands Convention Center in Venetian. And C-Space. And C-Space was a new area of the show focused on Hollywood, the content community, internet creators, CMOs, and those who entered this whole new world that didn't exist just a generation ago of creating content for the internet. And of course, Japan is very well represented at CES because CES is an international mecca. CES, when it started, was revolutionary in 1967. It began in New York. It was actually a spin-off from a music instrument show. But there was no home for consumer electronics. And at the time it was started, it was controversial. Because American companies were saying, why are you giving a venue for Japanese companies to come in and start? And among the earliest exhibitors were companies like Sony and Panasonic, then Matsushita, and other Japanese companies which were able to get a foothold in the US market through the CES. In fact, many major product debuts occurred at CES, such as the VCR and from Sony. And Sony also in 1981 made video recording a one-person job with the introduction of the Betacam, the first video recording device to put the recording device inside the camera. The first high-definition sets were shown at CES. Many of these innovations were very important, and Japan continues to be very important with CES. In fact, we had more than 3,000 people come from Japan to Las Vegas this past show, which is up 50% in just 3 years. There were over 40 exhibitors from Japan, including some of the largest companies like Sony and Panasonic. Of course, it's been 45 years now that CES has been a proving ground for innovators in technology. From HD, OLED, and Ultra HD 4K to tablets and driverless cars. That's where all sorts of new and game-changing technologies are launched. CES is totally focused on the future. It's on innovation. It's not about the past. It's about how we're changing lives going forward. And it's an innovation event, attracting content creators, broadcasters, big companies, startups, journalists, retailers, investors, small companies, anyone connected to technologies. The Fortune 500 companies, C-type, TO, CIO, CXO, CFO, COOs, and anyone who feels that innovation is affecting their business. In terms of what happened at this past 2015, CES, we had some phenomenal keynotes from leaders, world-leading companies. We had innovation awards that really made a difference. And we have a special area of the show focused only on startups. It's called Eureka Park. Just started a few years ago. And now there was over 350 companies exhibiting there. This gives an opportunity for anyone with an idea to expose it to literally the tens of thousands of journalists like yourself, retailers, investors, and buyers. I attended my first meeting of the governing board of the association that owns CES in 1981. And at that time, the US president of Panasonic named Ray Gates was chairman of the board. And he and the board were discussing whether to raise the cost of exhibiting at CES. And the agreement that Ray Gates got the board to buy into was that the CES must always remain a place where anyone with a good idea can expose it to tens of thousands of retailers, investors, and journalists from around the world. And we've been consistent with that ever since, and that's why 80% of the exhibitors at CES are actually smaller companies. But of course we have big ones as well, and we have many Japanese companies like DO, Sorivo, which is a panelist today, Hitachi, Panasonic, Toshiba, Toyota, Sony, and so many more. We've had so many innovative product launches at CES in so many categories. Steve talked about many of the categories that we have there, but there's so many different companies that I had first planned to talk about a few of them, but really with over 3,600 companies, with over 20,000 new products introduced, it's a very difficult discussion to have, and I think Steve covered the trends very well. But CES took a leap forward. It used to be about entertainment and information and education, which changed people's lives. We've now shifted to solving the biggest problems in the world, from health care to agriculture to hunger and others, because what's happened now with the microelectronic mechanical system, the MEMS, the sensing devices, we're able to get those tiny components down to very low cost, and smart people are putting them together in a way which solves real world problems. For example, at this last CES, we had more than 50 different products shown, which will cut down on car accidents. These are products which can look at your eyes and see if you're falling asleep, or products which basically will tell you if you're shifting from the lane in the road, or if you're about to hit a car, active collision avoidance system. And there's products like drones and unmanned vehicles that are changing the way that healthcare is delivered around the world to the most remote areas. Not only getting drugs, but getting testing equipment back and forth, to finding lost children or animals even. And of course, 3D printers are solving problems not only around the world, but outside the world. The unmanned space station just recently had a tool breakdown. And rather than take the several-month period of getting it up to that station, a 3D printer on the space station fixed that. I've actually created a new tool. And of course, what we're seeing here is just the beginning. As difficult as it is for us to conceive of as we go forward in this digital, interconnected, wireless, broadband era, we are still just starting out with the technologies that are going to change the world and the world's problems. And that's something to focus on. I'm fortunate to share with you, actually, that CEA has its third book out. The second book I wrote, it's called Ninja Innovation. It's actually, I'm told it's sold out in Japan. It's in Japanese as well, among many other languages. But the Japanese version is no longer available on Amazon. So in the interest of eBay, I'm going to auction this off here to the highest bidder. But there's a third book out that just came out this January. It's called Digital Destiny: How the New Age of Data Will Transform the Way We Work, Live, and Communicate. It's by Dr. Sean Duberback, our chief economist. It has already become a bestseller on the New York Times and on other best-selling lists. And it doesn't just predict future technologies or trends. It unveils a future in which digital data is analyzed, used, put together in a predictive sort of way to basically solve many of our most ancient problems and create new opportunities and challenges. and transform life as we know it. So I urge you to look for that book. It is not yet out in Japanese, but hopefully will be soon. One of the other things that we do at CES is we try to recognize through an independent panel of judges, including many well-known journalists, the best products that we're showing at CES. We honor outstanding design and engineering advancements across 28 consumer product categories. And the Best of Innovations Awards are given to the highest rated products across all the categories. The products listed on this slide are some of the best we've seen at CES, and I have a few to share here with you. We have Access CE Air 2, which is a floating Bluetooth speaker which levitates over its base. There is no strings there. Ali Creed is not holding it up. It's magic. And it also punches out some very powerful sound. Then there's a matter-informed 3D scanner. The first high-res 3D scanner designed and priced for designers, small businesses, teachers, and families. It's lightweight, portable, and easy to use. And it creates fast, precise 3D scans of real-world objects. Any object in the world you could take and put in there and get a 3D scan. And of course, you know what you could do with that scan then, is you could put it in the 3D printer. But after the 3D printer, we happen to have a small pocket printer. If you have a big pocket, or a decent-sized pocketbook. Zuda Labs pocket printer reimagined the printer to fit today's on-the-go working space. It's a small robot, actually, that runs on the paper and lays the ink while doing so. The printer is very small, yet can print on any size of paper, making it a truly mobile printer. These are just 3 of some 20,000 products out there. Thank you, Alan. Now, the CES in Las Vegas, we call it the International CES. It's been held every year. Started in 1967 in New York. But we felt that there was an opportunity in Asia, in fact, a demand in Asia, for a show which is not as large as the CES in Las Vegas, but focuses on 2 things. It focuses on innovation, innovative companies, and companies that have global brands. So the intention of this show is not to be huge, but rather it was to just basically have selected companies showing innovative products. And it's, what we don't want to have is 300 different iPhone case makers at this show. So, we have CES Asia. It's an inaugural event in Shanghai this May. It will have some of the dynamic exhibits, keynote addresses, and conference programming you would expect that focuses business leaders on brand exposure in the Asian marketplace. It draws in brands and attendants from around the globe. It'll feature about 20,000 gross square meters of exhibit space, about 8,500 net. And there'll be 14 product categories that will emphasize the themes of the Internet of Things, innovation, and connectivity. We already announced our first keynote speaker, the chairman of the board of Audi, the car company, Rupert Stadler, will deliver a pre-show keynote address, and there'll be many more announcements in the coming months. But what I am pleased to tell you today, and announce for the first time right here, right now, is our first number of exhibitors. We've already crossed the 100 exhibitor mark, which is way more than I expected by now. And registration has only been open 1 month, and we already have over 6,000 registrants from 80 countries. In fact, we have over 200 registrants already from Japan. And this strong response underscores the importance of and demand for CES Asia to showcase the breadth and depth of innovation in the Asian marketplace. And you saw how important that China marketplace is, but we think it goes beyond China to the Asia area. Many of the shows in Asia, actually there's no great show in Asia now. There is definitely a great show in Japan, and there's one in Hong Kong, and Taiwan, and Korea, but they're not regional shows. They're country-specific shows. We want to have a regional show, and that's our goal. And then we hope to get there in the next 5 or 10 years. But we invite you to CES Asia, and we also invite you to 2016 International CES. Of course, it's a hands-on experience where you get to see innovation firsthand and see and touch the technology which is changing our life. And the dates are up there. So, 2015 set the tone for the year. We move on to CES Asia, and then we go back to Las Vegas in January. But another feature we want to share with you is to get a little flavor about what the future is by people who know in Japan. So I'm very pleased to be joined by a panel of industry experts here to discuss innovation and what